What's up, guys? Welcome back to another GFCT Q&A. This time we're joined for the first time by FPL Mariner on Twitter. Chris, I'm going again. 3, 2, 1. What's up? I got it first try last time, by the way, so you know. 3, 2, 1. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another GFCT Q&A. This time we're joined by Chris, known as @FPL Mariner on Twitter. He did a lot of work preseason. He's written a lot of articles for us, and he also 3, 2, 1. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another you got to be kidding me. Okay, so we got the
Chris, I think you're making Chase a little nervous here.
Let me camera
off. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another GFCT Q&A. This time we're joined by Chris, known as @FPL Mariner on Twitter. He does great. He has a great captaincy metric that he posts every week about. He's done a lot of articles for us. He did a lot of stuff preseason. And FPL Mariner, we're happy to have you on today. Do you have anything to say to our audience?
It's nice to be here, although it's very late in Singapore. But it's always good to come on and try and give something back to everybody else. I try to be active within the chats, but work and everything else doesn't always allow it. So I tend to just share my Twitter stuff at the moment. But hopefully I can do a few more articles in the not too distant future. But it's nice to be here, and it's always good to have a chat to you guys.
Yep, good to have you. We also have Gabe as usual. Gabe, how's it going?
What's up, guys? How y'all doing? It's good to be here again. Good to see Chris's face on the Q&A for the first time. Ready to help some people. It's early in the morning for me, so basically Chris and I are diametrically opposite sides of the planet. So I've only been up for about 30 minutes here, but I'm ready to go. Let's do some FPL.
All right. So the first question is about the blanks and double game weeks. It's very surprising. You may wonder why are people asking about that. When it comes to bench boost in a double game week, we tend to have 15 double game week players as the best practice, but we are emphasizing quantity of fixtures over a single game week player's quality/form. Any notable single game week players in game week 19 who are worth holding on to or bringing in? FPL Mariner, Chris, what do you think?
I think there's two obvious ones, and that's Son and Kane. They're very obvious. With Sheffield United, I think, isn't it? 19 for them. Yeah. So I mean, look, we know how bad Sheffield United are. They're probably one of the worst sides I've seen in the Premier League for a few years. So no, they are clearly some pretty good options. I mean, the only thing I would say again, the other thing I would mention is DCL. It depends if you've got tons of value in him, if you can hold him for a period of time, because these fixtures do start to improve after that point. But I have to say he's on borrowed time for me, and I've had him since the start of the season. But that would be the obvious standouts are Son and Kane. But DCL, I might consider holding him purely because I've got tons of value in him.
Gabe?
Yeah, I mean, I think Chris mentioned the obvious one in Son and Kane. Among those two, I would prefer, for this matchup against Sheffield United, I'd prefer Son. Sheffield United have conceded the second most chances from their right side as Baldock and Basham push up that side almost irresponsibly, which is understandable because they're not scoring goals, so they're pretty desperate to score. So I can understand why they're pushing even more. They've conceded 70 chances from that right side compared to 53 from the left and 66 from the center. So I think they're the obvious ones. I'm holding DCL for now, similarly to Chase. I'm sure many people have a lot of value tied in him. He has, who does he have? They have Villa away. Everton has Villa away, which isn't a great matchup. So I could understand people getting rid of him. I don't think he's a must-hold, but I think in the double game week, in this particular one, I think Son is the standout. Playing on that left-hand side, kind of, I kind of expect a blowout here. Just Sheffield United leave way too much space, and they leave back three. It's not a back three because they push up so high. It actually turns into a back two. And the only other teams that really could play a back two successfully are teams like Barcelona and Sheffield United. Are not Barcelona. Newsflash, right? Not at all. So I think Son is a standout single game week player, and Kane is fantastic for the week as well.
I would also add, Gabe, that Sheffield is not Barcelona either.
See, you're only going to get the best, intellectual conversations here in the GFCT. Get all your hot takes.
Well, I'll agree that Barcelona's probably better, but I think in terms of bench boosting in a double game week, you don't have to necessarily get all double game week players. So I'm looking at, if I decide to wildcard this week, I'm looking at playing my Arsenal guys on my bench in the bench boost because they have a pretty good matchup. I forgot who it's against, but I think it's I don't remember. But I have Saka and Holding, and I'm okay. I mean, they're pretty cheap. Like
they have Newcastle.
Okay, Newcastle. Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah.
So there are these players that it's not necessarily worth getting rid of just because they have a single game week. If it's a good one, especially bench boost, like I really look at bench boost as just try to get like the most out of it that you can. It's not. If you have the chance to use it, you almost want to take it because you'll have to set your team up later just to be able to use it properly. So I wouldn't worry about it too much, and I would still keep the focus on longer term fixtures. But yeah, I think Son and Kane are guys that I wouldn't be pressed to transfer out.
To give like a concrete reference, like I've been planning on using my bench boost all along for Game Week 19. Now I'm probably not going to use it. Or as of last week, I decided not to use it. I think I'm going to save it. But now, if Forster is going to start and McCarthy's still out with COVID, now I'm back to using it again, maybe. I mean, so I think it is a fluid situation like that. I mean, I have – the reason I don't want to use it is because I have Forster, who would be a non-playing goalkeeper potentially, and I have Brewster, who might give me 45 minutes in that double game week, right? They have Tottenham, so that's going to be a 1-pointer there. But if all of a sudden I have a backup goalkeeper that's playing, I'm probably just going to use it because I'm not going to want to invest more money in a backup goalkeeper later on that I'll then have to transfer out. So I agree with Chase. Bench boost is once you have an opportunity, just go use it, make the most of it, and don't expect too much from it.
Yeah, I mean, I had a similar issue. I was planning on bench boosting. And then Lampard did his tricks with Chilwell a couple of weeks ago, and I took him out for TAA, and that used one of my transfers up. So then that has a knock-on effect of, then having to start thinking about taking hits and this, that, and the other. I've got Peacock Farrell, who, quite frankly, if he played, he wouldn't score anyway. Won't get any points anyway. And Davis, who, hey presto, is getting point. He's getting a point every week at the moment, which is better than I ever expected from him. But I've got a similar problem in that, I can get probably, I can have 12 double game weekers at the moment without too much effort. But that's not enough to bench boost for me. So my plan is probably to do the traditional wildcard bench boost around 25, 26, I think. That's probably what I'm going to do. I may use my triple captain, I may not. That's the other thing. Not convinced on that yet.
So the next question comes in from Matt. He asks, my 7-week plan to attack the bench boost week has unsurprisingly been undone by injuries such as Taylor and benchings like Balbuena. Is it worth taking a -8 hit to rectify these situations and use bench boost, or roll with the punches and better set up my team for weeks 20 onwards, hoping for another bench boost opportunity to present itself? Gabe, what do you think?
First of all, I want to thank Matt. He's always got questions, really good questions lined up for us. So super involved. I really appreciate every time he sends stuff in. And there's another good question. It's do we, we always say, we always hear in the community, right? Have a plan, stick to your plan, stick to your plan. I kind of like the way Matt puts it here. You know what? Stick to your plan, but roll with the punches. Once the punches start flying, then it's okay to change your plan. Same thing with me. I got hit with injuries with Taylor. Otherwise, I would have more players because now I have to substitute Taylor out or transfer Taylor out, and I would have had more players like for the double. Like like Chris was saying, and then injuries hit. So now that I have less, I say to Matt, what I'm going to do, because we're all having to, adjust to course correct. I say roll with the punches. Go with the flow, roll with the punches. What feels usually it's like I've come across this concept is like Occam's fantasy. It's like Occam's razor, where the simplest explanation for something is usually the best and the correct one. Well, here Occam's fantasy, the simplest approach is probably the best. If you're looking at like convoluted surgery to fit players in, to force players in for the double, like that's usually a risky approach, is what I would say. So I think that the easiest approach, the path of least resistance, is called for here. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I mean, look, what I would say is that, how many points do you expect to get from a bench boost? Particularly in the fact that it's a double game week. And if you've got 4 players playing 2 games, you only need one of those players really to get a goal and some bonus points, and you've got that 8 points, right? That's one way of looking at it. Mm-hmm. However, if you're taking 8 points in, how many are you taking out the other side?
Right.
It's not just about the transfers that you make at the start. It's about the transfers you've then got to do at the other side to fix your team. If you're that engrossed in having to, like you say, bang square pegs into round holes to bench boost. My personal view is I would have been prepared to take 1 hit for a bench boost. 1. But I'm a bit more conservative than most, and I'm trying to be conservative this year. I've only taken 2 hits all season so far. So, so maybe I'm a little bit on the cautious side. But if the hits that he's going to take are actually okay on the other side, and perhaps if he's bringing a goalkeeper in, I'm not sure I would recommend taking a hit for bringing a goalkeeper in. I'd probably go without that. But if he was then looking at perhaps wildcarding in 25 and he's got a route to 25 without hitting these players out, then -8 might not be completely out of the question. But it's a tough one because you don't really exactly know what he's got, and you don't know where he's going with his side after that. But my general perception is don't force it. I think I agree with you, Gabe, there. I think it's very dangerous to get totally engrossed in it and then realizing you missed the boat in game week 21, 22, 23, and 24.
Yeah, I simply have to agree. I would probably not force it. I would play it the conservative way too. It's tough because you want to get rid of the bench boost. You want to go ahead and make use of it, and then you don't have to worry about it. But you also don't want to take a -8 hit and potentially bring goalkeepers in, as Chris said. So just don't expect an outcome where you're going to be super happy. It's a tough one, but I would play it more conservative in this way. So moving on to the next question, we got Dom. He asks, are there any good third striker options? Most of us have a combination of Bamford, Vardy, Kane. Is Che Adams / Watkins or Wilson good assets going forward? Or is it better to change formation to 2 strikers and 5 midfielders? Are there any good budget options at the midfield position? Is it worth looking at Arsenal, Man City, budget midfielder officers? So let's start with the forward question. Any good third striker options? This is relevant to me because I'm looking at wildcarding soon. So, Chris, what do you think?
Well, never ask me about Che Adams. Okay? I've got previous with him. No, I've got previous. And he's flagged at the moment, but they reckon he's going to be back, don't they? Adams and Ings. Ings is back. Ings is scoring again. They're a good. Their fixtures are not amazing for the weeks to come for me. Watkins' fixtures are good, but my view on Watkins is he's wasteful.
Yeah.
And I don't. I've been a little bit. I've been a lot negative on another podcast about him. So I actually think it's a little bit of a wasteland. That's my general view. And at the moment, I am running and regularly playing Souček as a 5th midfielder. Now, is he the best option going forwards? Maybe not. He's certainly for the double game week, but I think beyond that, I'm not so sure. But no, I mean, obviously we'll come back to the midfielder question in a minute. But from my side, for strikers, no, I mean, I don't buy the idea of Callum Wilson. He's dead to me. He's been dead to me for years. He's frauded me many times, that man. So, no, I think it's a little bit. I mean, I thought about Rodrigo at one point, but then, quite frankly, I'm more interested in the Leeds midfielders. The likes of Harrison and players like that. It's more interesting to me. So no, I think the only player I would mention, and if he's fit, it's a no-brainer. It's Antonio. That's the only thing I would say. But I mean, can we be certain? I mean, if you bring him in for the double game week, how many games is he going to play? 1, 3/4, 30 minutes on each. They're going to bring him back slowly, aren't they? He isn't going to just throw him straight in because he's going to want him for the rest of the season because he is absolutely pivotal for West Ham.
Gabe, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree that the whole time I'm thinking Antonio, but Chris brings up a good point. He's not a sure thing, right? There is a concern around him. Now, I think with Antonio, he very much changes the way. Well, he changes West Ham's potential, right? Everybody plays with a lot more confidence and a lot more courage in West Ham when Antonio's on the pitch. Now, I think for him, I think he's pretty much the only one for a third striker option. Now, it'll be interesting to see if he gets some time in the cup game, right? If he gets maybe 45 minutes in the cup game, and they don't have a game after the double. They don't play again. I think it's almost 2 weeks. It's like 10 or 12 days. So if Antonio is steadily getting better, right, or getting healthier, sorry, and he does well in the cup, he maybe I think he has a chance to play both games. I don't think he'll play a full 90 both games, but I think he does have a chance to play at least maybe 60 in both games because he has such a long rest afterwards. But hamstrings are tricky, man, and the knee, the stability of the knee also depends on the strength of the hamstring. I know from having 5 knee surgeries, so it's definitely a risk. But Antonio, I think, especially with that tasty double game week matchup, I think it's a risk worth taking. I would take it if I could get there to Antonio without sacrificing players that I have that I like, which that's my problem. In 1 or 2 hits, I think Antonio could be worth it in the double game week. As far as midfielders go, I mean, you could have a midfield of KDB, Salah, Gundogan, Souček, and Saka, for example. Mm-hmm. There are so many emerging cheap midfield options that I find really interesting. I think at first for Souček, I was only using at FPL Mariners headers metric here. Comes up with my favorite metric. I love this thing. And then I benched him in the last game week because the headers matchup wasn't good.
And then he went and scored with his feet.
He does so much, and that's the thing. And you go back and you look at Souček's goals. They're not all headers like that. No. He does so much. He pushes into space when he just has such a great understanding with Declan Rice, and he has the freedom to push into space, which there's a lot of space vacated by Haller. Even space that Haller is taking is still empty space because he's like completely useless. So I still think Souček is one of the best ones. I think Saka will emerge as one of those, and I think right now. And Mariner and I were discussing this at the wee hours of the morning here in Los Angeles. Gundogan, the way Gundogan's pushing into the front three and turning City into a 4-2-4. I think he's really attractive now, but I don't expect that to last the entire season. Rodri made some mistakes, so Gundogan could be held back by Pep. So we don't know. He's a little bit risky, but definitely an attractive option. If you're thinking about your wildcard chase, are you looking at any of these options here that we're discussing?
Well, yes. I'm actually looking at only using Bamford in that cheap option, like that cheap price bracket range. And then I could go, it's kind of risky, and I actually want to know what you guys think about Martial in terms of his ability to play 90 minutes. But so I got maybe like Martial, Vardy, Bamford, something like that. And then, as you said, I take advantage of those cheap options. I quite like Saka. He was probably the most dangerous Arsenal player. He likes to cut in on that left foot and swing crosses in. And geez, he's actually really fast. Like, I know it's West Brom, and he just looked great last game, but he's in some form now, finally, and in terms of FPL points. So I quite like him, and then I could maybe throw Souček in there. I'm looking at El Ghazi, too.
Yeah, I was going to mention El Ghazi.
If El Ghazi plays 90 minutes every week on penalties, 5.8, these kind of discussions we're having now it's leaning me towards wildcarding now just to get these players in before the price out. But the reason I'm mentioning all these cheap options we have in midfield is because at this price at forward, we have Bamford at 6.6, but you can get these guys for cheaper than you can get, Che Adams and Watkins. Like, that is a little bit cheaper, but it can really make a big difference if you're trying to really I may go two big forwards for that reason because I can get some cheap options. So for me, 3-5-2 is the way to go. And I like Gundogan as well, but I still think because they're just more attacking players, I would probably go with Saka and Souček over Gundogan. And as far as Shea Adams, Watkins, Wilson goes, I'm just going to say no. I may, oh my gosh. I have struggled with Watkins for so long. He's probably returned 1 week for me. Actually, he has, only that 1 week. But I may leave him in the wild card just because cheap fixtures, I can bench boost that way. And then I would get rid of him just for the bench boost. But who knows? That's another discussion completely. So my question for you guys is just to add a question in here. Chris, what do you think of Martial? If I'm wildcarding now, should I bring him in?
Look, from my side, Martial's a very patchy sort of player. He basically, I'll give you a bit of history about me and Martial. I owned him twice last season, at the start of last season, and got completely screwed by him. And then towards the back end of the season, after the lockdown, I brought him in again, and he basically held me. He basically propelled me up the league, not owning Fernand. I basically covered Bruno with him, pretty much, especially with the home fixtures. But of course, that's not necessarily. You can never really tell home and away these days. I think Martial's a decent option. I think he's a particularly good option for the blank game week because Cavani's out, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's out. The blank game week, he's out, isn't he? Misses 1 week.
No, he'll. It's the cup game. He'll miss the cup game, and he'll be available for the blank.
It's 3-game ban, isn't it? I thought
he missed last game.
Did he? I thought it's this one. Anyway, I might be mistaken. But my view is, I thought he was out. But if that's the case, look, Martial has always got a chance of having his minutes minima. He's probably more of a rotation risk this year than he was last year. Definitely with Cavani, I would say. But looking at the minutes that Martial has played, he still looks like he's going to get, 65, 70 minutes a match. And Martial, if he's on form, and he is very patchy, but if he's on form, he could be very good for you. That would be my perspective, anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm trying to look up when. I'm pretty sure Cavani's back for the Burnley game. He'll miss the cup game. He got that ban right after the Southampton game while Mariner checks. So because of that, just uncertainty. I mean, in terms of production, in terms of stats and watching him in the game, I think now, as Chris was saying, Martial is a patchy player, so now would be the right time to get on him. But I envision Cavani starting against Burnley. Yeah, I do. I think Solskjaer has finally realized he is their best option up front. He's their best number 9, and he's not temperamental like the way Martial is. And I mean,
sure? Where's he from? He's from South America.
He is. So he's temperamental. but he's not temperamental the way Cavani is. He will never take himself out of the game because of his temper. What he'll do is he'll make other people angry at him, as angry as he is. Yeah. That's the South American style.
It is actually very true. Yeah,
it is. I mean, I remember vividly watching the Copa America when Uruguay was playing Chile, and Jara from Chile came and stuck a little finger up Cavani's bum. Cavani turned around, slapped him in the face. Cavani got sent off. So yeah, that's South America for you. But I think United need a little of that, like South American, just like we are going to take advantage of people, take advantage of people's like insecurities or anger, and even take advantage of the rules a little bit if we can. I actually think Cavani is an intriguing little free hit player for people on free hit. But I wouldn't get into Martial because of that risk.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those moves where I would like to make it because it seems like it has high upside, but I don't think I'll be able to pull the trigger on it. I may just go Ings, and who knows.
Yeah, I think Ings is probably a safer option because Ings will just, providing he stays fit, even though the fixtures are quite difficult. Danny Ings last year proved that he was fixture proof.
Yeah. He proved that yesterday when he scored against Liverpool.
Yeah, after 2 minutes and wiped my double clean sheet out. Danny Ings, yeah.
Oh man, this was the game week of clean sheet wipeouts, huh? Man,
yeah, it was. Yeah.
All over the place. God.
I didn't have to wait 90 minutes for mine though. Mine happened after 2.
Mine happened after 92. Damn it.
Rob Holding, 10-pointer. That's all I gotta say.
I know. I brought in Rob Holding for this week.
Yeah, me too. All right. So moving on to the next question. It's from Mahit. He asks, well, he's going into Game Week 19. He's likely to bench boost and then would try to move some of that bench value into the main team. Not considering the bench boost week, how much is too much when it comes to the bench? Does your thinking change for this season? How many players on your bench would you want to be starters? And among the starters, how many would you want that could return more than 1, 2, or 3 points? Gabe, what do you think?
I mean, I think we have so many budget options that are really nice that there's no reason to have any player worth more than worth $6 million or more on the bench. $6 million is a lot, but I'm thinking if you have budget players like the ones we spoke about, Souček, Saka, Gundogan, you might want to. Yeah, there may be a game week where you'll bench one of those, so that's why I put the kind of threshold at 6, because you might have a 5-5 or a 5-7 player benched in there if they're a midfielder. We have, there aren't many cheap defenders like there have been in season past, right? Like the 4s, the 4-0s, the 4-1s, 4-2s. Kilman will get some time every once in a while, but no one you can really rely on. So I would say you should have a bench of at least 2 regular 90-minute or 70 to 90-minute players, and we're talking not goalkeeper. Goalkeeper, your bench should obviously be as cheap as possible. And then one player like a Brewster, or a cheaper defender like a Newcastle defender, a 4-3 or something like that. That will get time regularly, but maybe not every game. That's how I would play it. Just things are so uncertain right now. We don't even know if there's going to be a game week 18 at this point. So it's I find it best to have 70 to 90-minute players, 2 of them moving forward for the rest of the season. That's what my plan is. But I don't know what do you think, Chris?
Well, I've just seen the news that there's 40 COVID cases in the Premier League in this week's testings. That's double what was last week. So it looks like these bubbles are not working. Mind you, they are having parties and things like that, aren't they? Morons. But look, I would go as far as saying, look, certainly a 4.0 keeper. I'm not a strong believer of having money in the goalkeeper. I'd sooner just lose the points, quite frankly.
Yeah.
What difference does it make?
Over the course of the season, that 0.5.
Yeah, exactly. That 0.5 can go a long way. I'm very much 4.5, 4.5, and a 5 or a 5.5. That's the way I would probably play it. I would talk about Souček, for example, who might be benched. At the moment, my bench is one of Kufal, Dallas, KWP, or Davis or Souček. There's 5 players I basically rotate around onto the bench and often get it wrong. Like I did this week, another 12 points on the bench. but no, I think the important thing is that you've got at least 2 playing, in my opinion. I think you need 2. I think the third one, the chances of your third player coming off the bench is pretty slim. Pretty slim. So I tend to put Davis third on the bench, and if he actually came on this week, but the other week, but I just think you don't want to be overspending. You're better off packing your midfield. There's all that great value, and there's really strong assets across that midfield at the moment. And I just think you're missing a trick if you don't use those, if you don't get them on.
All right, so moving on to the next question. I don't have anything to add. I feel like you did everything I wanted to say. So this one comes from Jigar, and we already answered that sort of. So I would go on to Hazard's question. He asks, for the free hit team in double game week, if we're looking to triple up on City/United, which way should we go? The City defense, United attack, or City attack, United defense? Obviously, there's a lot of different combinations here. Chris, what do you think?
Well, I've been saying this for a few weeks. I think these weeks coming up are all set around attack. They don't look very good defensive matchups for me, to be honest. It looks like there's more goals in it than anything. So I would be automatically drawn to the attack side of things from my perspective. So I would, I've pulled the. I do some matchups based on big chances, shots in the box, and XG against the opposition. And Manchester United, Manchester City, and Arsenal for the blank, followed by Villa. That's the order. So from my side, I would certainly be looking at Fernandes plus somebody, probably, and I may try to even go KDB plus at the detriment of my defence. I'd probably be looking at bringing in, I don't know, maybe a bit of Newcastle defence, perhaps. Well, Sheffield, isn't it? It's Sheffield.
I know.
It's Sheffield, mate. They couldn't hit a barn door from a yard. I mean, with all seriousness, now I think maybe one Newcastle defender might not be a bad shout. And I just think, if you're going to chuck your money in, and particularly if you're going into these matches without a full, some people are not free hitting, right? And if you're not doing that, then you definitely want to load up on forwards. You definitely want to. You might not even bother with a defender. That would be my perspective.
Gabe, what do you think?
So are we talking about in general moving forward, or specifically the blank and the double?
I would say. I think his situation is he's free hitting, and then I think he just gets his team back for the double game week. That's the way I understood it.
Oh, okay. So for the free hit team and double game week, I like the double. I'm liking United attack and City defense. So I would probably go. You could double Bruno and Rashford, and you could do Bruno, Rashford, Bailly, and then do like KDB, Stones, Cancelo, or KDB, Stones, Diaz, or something like that. I would go, and that's kind of where my team is heading. So I think I would have an attack from each team for sure, and then I would have at least one City defender. I think everybody needs a City defender at this point.
I was going to say, Gabe, though, one thing. I wasn't surprised at all that City conceded this week. I wasn't surprised at all. I really wasn't. They've conceded. They still their stats are not great, but clearly they might be conceding shots, but they're not going in. It's maybe not great chances. There's shots in the box, but they're not great chances. So they're maybe just not carving out these super chances. But for example, this blank Brighton are not too bad. Brighton destroyed Wolves for 90 minutes for 45 minutes.
Yeah, no, and I always thought City would concede against Chelsea as well. To your point there, Chris. However, at that point in the game, like once the game got towards the end, I didn't think they would concede. But before the game, I expected City to concede. But City has the second most clean sheets this season behind Villa and Southampton. They have 7, and Villa and Southampton have 8 each. Mm-hmm. And I see City really improving on that. I think they're going to finish the season with the most clean sheets in the league. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if Stones has gone up, but he was at 4.9. 4.9 defender for a team that concedes the most clean sheets in the league. That value is great. And then if we look at the fixtures, so obviously they have Brighton, right, which is nice in the blank, and they have Palace and Villa, which is decent, and they're both home.
And then the fixtures are excellent.
Double, and then it's West Brom, Sheffield, Burnley.
Yeah,
I think double City is the way to go for those. So yeah, that's but for a free hit, just for the double, I like United attack. I think you got to have attack from both, and I think you should have some City defense.
In terms of free hit, I'm not too sure. But long term, I would say you definitely have to have De Bruyne and Bruno. And I think the way to go is Stones and Cancelo, just because I'm not willing to spend so much money on Sterling. And that would probably be the only option I would really trust. You could always throw Gundogan in there, but I think there's some better options where I'd rather use that Man City slot. Cancelo is a little bit much for a defender, but considering there's not many cheap options, as Gabe mentioned earlier, at that $5 million price, Stones is perfect, I think. He's playing well.
Yeah. And, I think the other thing I would say, though, mate, is that, look at these fixtures. That, to me, they've got Sterling written all over them.
I agree.
They really have. And I don't know whether I'm clutching at straws from previous lives or whatever here, but I just get the feeling that Sterling is due to explode. And if you can get him on him at the right time, then he's a huge differential for you.
I think
huge differential.
I think if I was free hitting in the double game week, or even now, I think for free hit in either time, I think I would have him in my team. Longer term, I can't say I would trust him if I was like doing what I'm doing. But
you could catch lightning in a bottle with Sterling for sure. But okay, I want to remembering KDB's goal. That's Sterling. Sterling written all over it means he's going to get in a ton of chances, 1v1 against the keeper. He's going to dance around, go turn himself in knots, hit it off the post, and someone else is going to score. Jesus, he's so frustrating.
Cue Chris screaming at the screen.
Exactly.
Sometimes when he does that, it looks like amazing composure. Other times it looks like he just froze. So it's like it depends on the result.
I do think though, it's less than 5%. Is he still less than 5% owned? If he's he may be a bit more now.
He was at 4 something for a while.
Yeah,
he might be creeping up now.
I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's just ridiculous. And with those fixtures and looking at those fixtures, they just scream Sterling to me. I've always thought KDB is the one to go for when it's the tougher fixture, and Sterling is the one to go for when it's the weaker fixture. He's
5.1% on.
Wow.
Yeah.
So if you fancy a Salah downgrade and you already own KDB,
that's a great point, Chris. A really interesting point. People are considering jumping off of Salah right now because, his production's not there. His XG isn't there.
You showed something very interesting to the core group, or there's something very interesting on the core group today. I don't know. It's probably worth going over this actually from the perspective of the viewers. But I was shocked.
Yeah. Was that the
pre and post COVID?
Yeah, Salah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're crazy. He's gone off the cliff.
Yeah. But yeah, I think as far as Manchester United go, I like Bailly. I think he's a good price there. As long as he continues to play well, he should start. And Bruno, I don't think you necessarily have to go with Rashford or Martial. Rashford misses a lot of chances, but he's more reliable than Martial, that's for sure. So moving on to Hazard's other question, he just wants us to suggest him a goalkeeper for the free hit in Gameweek 18. So I'll start off. I think the way you have to go is Carl Darlow. They play Sheffield United, and that's all the reason you need. So, Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, I probably agree. I think Leno's an option as well, but I think probably Darlow is probably. I don't know. I've always got that funny feeling with Arsenal that Zaha's going to turn up in a London derby and do Zaha things. So it makes me think that they might not. I'm not quite so happy about Leno really. So I think Darlow's probably a pretty good option. I know Dubravka's nearly back, isn't he? But I think Darlow's form's that good. I think he'll keep him out the side for now.
One question I have is Chris Wood going to be back for that? Probably, right?
I think
he was.
Yeah,
he was out injured or something.
Well, he's got a chance. I mean, he's due. He's massively underperforming, but is that just the fact that we always say, don't we, with the stats? He's either very unlucky or he's crap.
Well, he didn't play last game week.
You know what? But he's like his XG or his XI is about 4 or 5 over his actual returns.
Yeah,
he's pretty much top of my numbers when I look at who's under and over performing. But as I say, you never know whether it's got to be the eye test for me. I mean, Chris Wood again, he's a bit patchy, isn't he? When he gets going, but he needs the delivery and he needs the service.
Yeah, he does. I think I agree with you guys. I think Darlow is a standout option. I think De Gea could be interesting if Wood is out. But when you're looking at value, you might as well just bring in Bailly for 4.9 instead of getting the goalkeeper. So I agree. We have 3 people agreeing on a Newcastle goalkeeper. This might be our last Q&A session, everyone. Yeah. This doesn't go well.
He's not 4.5. He's 5 million.
I've got Fernandez on my list. Their centre out. I've got Fernandez on my list.
So there's budget.
But I wouldn't double up on them.
Right.
No way.
Exactly. Yeah.
So our final question comes from Robert Hunt, and he's asking a question that we mentioned earlier: Salah versus KDB. Depending on Salah's performance tonight, is it worth swapping Salah to KDB, given you would get 3 games in Gameweek 18 and 19 out of KDB instead of 2 from Salah? He said he's not free hitting in either week. KDB's fixtures are also much better. I wouldn't captain Salah in Gameweek 19, so if I had KDB, then it would be between him and Bruno for captain/triple captain. So, Gabe, what do you think? Salah versus De Bruyne? Or both?
I mean, I think both. I really do. I don't expect... This isn't... You want to be on Salah when his stats turn, when his performance turns around. And he can still, as he showed in the game against Brighton when he came in for 30-odd minutes and scored a brace, he doesn't need much, right, for things to turn around for him. I can understand that inclination to want to move Salah to KDB, but these are the things. It's like the people that moved KDB to Salah last week, right? It's if we react too strongly to performances and like to results, then we're going to be jumping all around. So from my perspective, I think Salah's still good. He's got 2 home fixtures in the double. So I say you keep him. Find another. I think KDB is also very good. You get him in another way. But I don't know that I would swap Salah out for KDB. But Chris was referencing. I think Nitesh posted it posted in the chat. Salah pre-COVID and post-COVID, and his stats are down since COVID, and that's just the reality of it. So we don't really know what's going on in there. So I wouldn't judge this move too harshly, but for me, I want both. These are talisman players for the 2 best teams in the league. Just keep them.
I blame it on one of my colleagues from FPL Expectations who brought him in. He brought Salah in. It's all his fault. The moment he brought him in, he's blanked every time. But no, I mean, my perspective is at this moment, I look like I'm probably going to be owning both KDB and Salah for 19. If I free hit, I will move Son up to KDB in 19. I've got the cash in the bank to do that, and that'll mean I'll have Salah, KDB, and Bruno.
So you're getting rid of Son for 19 against Sheffield?
Yes, and I'll bring KDB in,
right?
Who's got a double. So right. I think that's and then you're probably looking at about 4-week run of KDB, and then you might jump back to Son by about 23, something like that. I think they play West Brom, but saying that, you never know what's going to happen with them, do you? I've been burnt by West Brom twice this season already.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks for joining, guys, and thanks for watching this far into the video, viewers. Guys, anything else you would like to add?
No, I don't think so, mate. I think it's just one of those ones. I think there is a message we need to say. Patience is a virtue. Do not do anything rash now. It's probably the most important thing to do is if you intend on firing any of your chips, if you can run with the price right, if you can run with the prices and things like that, sit on your hands till as late as possible. And if you're free hitting and you're starting to panic that you're at 0.0, you've got nothing in the bank and you've got a team in mind, just downgrade the third sub. Yeah. That's what I would say.
I would echo what Mariner's saying here, and I would say not only don't do anything rash, don't do anything. Like I have, really don't even look at what possible free hit team you could have. You're like, oh, I need to get that team. Just chill. Just that's my son is going to be on free hit, but he hasn't hit it, and I'm not helping him with it. We're not even talking about it because I don't want him to be tempted by certain players and feel like he has to force some players in. Chris was saying the COVID cases, they doubled from last week. They're up to 40 cases in the Premier League. I think the clown Prime Minister is going to speak again tonight. So we have, today's Tuesday, we have exactly a week before Gameweek 18 kicks off. So take the week, enjoy the week, and come back and check the news on the weekend or something like that. Yeah. But the other message is really great to have FPL Mariner here. Check him out on Twitter. It's so good to have his expertise in this chat, and his metrics are like I feed on these metrics now. If he doesn't send those to me in a WhatsApp message, then I start starving. I get emaciated. I get depressed and angry.
You're too kind. You're too kind, mate. But I mean, to be honest, the interesting perspective here, Chase, is that if you've got two people on, like you say, diametric sides of the world with diametric views and thinking, we think completely differently. Our process is completely different. So it's always quite interesting to have these debates with Gabe, really. So I just echo it, and it's always a pleasure to be on here. And let's hope I can make it on here again. It's just the timings with work and everything, which is a bit problematic for me, given the fact that I'm further east than anyone.
Yep. Yeah. All right. Well, again, guys, if you want to submit your questions, the link will be down below to join the Telegram chat. I'm sure if you made it this far in, you're already there. But to end off the video, I will say, just so you know, Sheffield United are worse than Barcelona. And also, don't do anything in FPL. That's Gabe's advice for the week.
Don't do anything.
So those are the nuggets from this chat.
Yeah.
It's like, Barcelona is better than Sheffield United, and do nothing.
You do nothing. That's all you have to do.
Walk the dog a lot.
Walk the dog a lot. Go get a dog if you don't have one.
Yeah, go get a dog if you haven't got one.
Yeah. Valuable information we learned today. All right, guys. I will see you in the next Q&A. Bye, everyone.
Cheers, man.